Let's talk about MSNBC. MSNBC has a new name. Actually, speaking of James Comey, MSNBC has a new name. They're trying to rebrand after a decade plus of platforming seriously people like, uncritically, people like James Comey and John Brennan and MSNBC host Nicole Wallace and Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. And this list is too long. It will take up the rest of the show for me to even go through. But they rolled out this new name today. No spoilers. I'm going to roll the clip for you. This is S10.
All right, we have breaking news as it pertains to our network. This morning, a new name for the network by the end of the year. We will become MS Now, which stands for My Source for News, Opinion, and the World. And look, Andrew, they even have a graphic up. I like it.
There it is.
Actually,
the new logo.
It looks very sporty. It's like, what's in a name? Well, whatever you put into the name.
Well, but I like this because I think it actually does have the sort of independence and actually gets away in some ways from even the idea of legacy media.
The media landscape has been changing a lot over the last decade or so, but it's been really accelerated in the last few years in this particular moment. So it does seem an ideal time to rebrand, an ideal time to embrace a new identity, to, as you said, to be an insurgent network.
What do you think?
I think it's good. Slight
You're just
smile.
saying that. You're just saying that.
No, I think it's good.
Okay, did you hear that? An insurgent network. An insurgent network. That's the way that MS Now. My name suggestion is MS 2013. So it combines things that they love, MS 13, with the year that they are frozen in, 2013. MS 2013, still free. You can use it. I won't sue or anything like that. But MSNBC, of course, stands for Microsoft NBC because it was sort of the pinnacle of corporate media in so many ways when MSNBC first hit the airwaves. And now, as Jonathan Lemire just put it on Morning Joe, it's time for them to feel a little bit, as Andrew Ross Sorkin said, more independent, and as Jonathan Lemire put it, more of an insurgent network. This is, again, bear in mind, the network that for the last 10 years has been the most prominent and least critical platformer of people like James Comey and John Brennan and the intelligence community as they went about dividing the left, dividing the American public, and undermining what the left sees as democracy, the constitutional Republican system, the lowercase d democracy that they have purported to treasure and cherish. They have allowed people like Substack Swiftie James Comey to undermine that uncritically, again, for years. In fact, they have cheerleaded in it, they have participated in it, and they now want to see themselves, and they want you to believe that they are an insurgent and independent network. And this is the most cynical exercise in branding that I can remember. So it gets one thing right and one thing deeply wrong. What it gets right is diagnosing the media landscape. And of course, it's very late for MSNBC, MS 2013 to recognize this because these trend lines were apparent 10 years ago, and there were some people who were way ahead of the curve and have come out on top of this, Megyn Kelly being one of them, but MSNBC now realizing things have splintered. The landscape is a bunch of sort of independent creators competing seriously on the same playing field, a leveled playing field with the old guys. So we need to cut overhead, cut costs, rebrand, and what do they then want to do? Well, they've realized that what people prize in an era of low institutional trust, we talk about this all the time here on After Party, in an era of low institutional trust, people prize authenticity. They prize a voice that they feel like they can trust and they don't need to agree with 100% of the time, but they believe is doing their best to present a fair and honest set of facts or opinions that they can then compare with other sources. We're all just putting in more legwork now to consume the news because we're comparing different sources instead of saying, I'm putting my trust in Walter Cronkite or Peter Jennings or whomever, and consuming bits and pieces of opinion on the side. But mostly I'm taking seriously the paper of record or whatever it is. That era is gone. It was a fleeting moment of mass media post-war technology, and it's not the case anymore. And MS 2013 is just now realizing it in 2025. But what they're doing wrong, of course, is not actually having any intention of meeting the demand. So they know that they are going to have a more niche audience right now, right? They actually, during the Zucker era, kind of leaned into this and realized that they had a really controversial slogan at one point. It was like forward, I forget what it was. But they were openly branding themselves as being on the left for a particular point of time. They're being a little coy about it, but they were sort of openly saying this is the home, the cable news home for the left. And that was obvious in their programming and all of that. Although their daytime news anchors still purported to be very serious journalists, capital V, capital S, capital J, VSJs as I call them. And lean forward was the slogan that they used. Thank you to our great producer for reminding me. Lean forward was the slogan. And, they knew at that point in time that it was smart to just brand themselves that way. But they also thought that's where the whole country was going. And of course, this was incoherent. They thought the country was like a white supremacist hellhole. At the same time, they were like, actually, no, we're all going to live in, as Trump says, everybody transgender. It's just to be a utopia of the Oberlin faculty lounge in America from now until eternity. So it was always incoherent, but that is really what they believed. And come to find out, that's the people like that do exist, right? Like there are dozens of them, but they do exist. So that does, you can have a niche following. There are some lefty YouTubers. We talked about Hassan Piker. There's some lefty YouTubers who are even like less interesting and more politically correct and more deferential to authority, who do okay on their various platforms because they don't have high overhead and they know that they're going to have a niche audience. And now MSNBC is entering that fray. And so, you know what? Do I think MSNBC and CNN can lurch into the future if they cut a bunch of overhead? Yeah, I actually do. I think they have really powerful brands. Even though trust in media is low, CNN has one of the most popular news websites in the entire world. MSNBC, they're at more of a disadvantage because they're losing the NBC. They used to like get a lot of firepower journalistically to the point that you can even say that from being combined with NBC. And my understanding is that a lot of that is going away, but they still, have the stable of people with name recognition in this niche community. Like Nicole Wallace and Rachel Maddow, so long as, they can cut down on the overhead, will still continue to have an audience. But they're not going to appeal to more and more people by claiming to be insurgent and independent. They might be fine with just that small audience, but it's not expanding, that's for sure. So if their rebrand effort isn't just an attempt to consolidate their dwindled but existing niche audience of people who love to slug Yellowtail and cheer along with Nicole Wallace as she talks about her husband's latest, quote, scoop with her husband, fine, enjoy it. You guys, you'll always have each other. But if they genuinely want people to believe that they're insurgent and independent and are planning a brand campaign, putting millions of dollars into making people think that they're insurgent and independent, God bless them. That is going to be hilarious. So name change by the end of the year, according to Joe Scarborough. And I am so excited to see how they try to sell this to all of us. Did you know all chips and fries used to be cooked in tallow? Up until the 1990s, when big corporations switched to cheap processed seed oils. Disgusting. Today, seed oils make up 20% of the average American's daily calories. Recent studies have linked seed oils to metabolic health issues and inflammation, but Masa did something about it. You've heard me talk about this over the last couple of weeks. I love these chips. They created a delicious tortilla chip with just 3 ingredients and no seed oils: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. I literally just ate some before I came up here. These chips avoid all the bad stuff. They taste so good. Masa is crunchier, tastier, and doesn't break in your guac. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied and light with no crash or bloat afterwards. And they're better. They just taste better too. The beef tallow makes the chips satiating so you won't find yourself uncontrollably binging and still feeling hungry afterwards. Masa chips is beloved by tens of thousands of customers and has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition ingredient experts. I just saw my parents this weekend and brought them some. So if you're ready to give masa a try, go to masachips.com/afterparty and use code afterparty for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/afterparty and code afterparty for 25% off your first order.